They called him Unkillable. The German Phantom. The commander who kept walking out of firestorms when everyone else turned to ash. He survived 6 ambushes, crawled out of 3 burning vehicles, led men who swore he could smell death before it arrived. And then, on a nameless battlefield surrounded by smoke, rust, steel, and hell, this unkillable commander destroyed 18 tanks in one day and entered the history books as the top ace the Germans never expected to fight. This is the story they tried to bury. Cut to black. Title card: The Unkillable Commander. Booming drum hit. The man the Germans feared, a 45-430. He was born Marek Volkov, on the borders where snow buried entire villages and the wind could peel skin. His childhood was not defined by comfort. It was defined by survival. At age 8, he watched his village burned by raiders. At age 10, he carried his first rifle. At age 14, he hunted wolves for food. And by 20, he was already leading men twice his age. But the Germans didn't fear his rank, his height, or his strength. They feared his eyes. Cold, silent, calculating. The Wehrmacht intelligence gave him a nickname: Deadliest, the Ghost. Why? Because every time they thought he was dead, every time they reported him confirmed killed, every time they celebrated his demise, Marek walked back out of the smoke. His men began to believe he was unkillable, and soon the Germans believed it too. The first time he cheated death, 4/39/20. The story begins in Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in history. Marek commanded a small mechanized infantry platoon. Outdated trucks, patched uniforms, barely any fuel. A German panzer battalion broke through the line. Marek and 29 men were ordered to delay them for 10 minutes. 10 minutes? They held for 3 hours. When the panzers finally rolled over their trenches, Marek detonated a buried explosive under the lead tank, sending it flipping sideways like a flaming coffin. His position collapsed. Smoke, dirt, screams. Marek vanished under the rubble. German reports marked him KIA. 2 days later, he limped back to Command HQ, uniform burned, face blackened, still carrying the rifle of a fallen comrade. A general looked at him and whispered, "You're supposed to be dead." Word spread. A commander who refused to die. A ghost who walked out of annihilation. A leader who turned hopeless battles into victories. During the winter retreat, a German mortar explosion buried Marek beneath snow and mud. Soldiers had already dug his grave, assuming his frozen body wouldn't be found. But Marek dug his way out. 2 weeks later, trapped in a burning APC, Marek kicked open the rear door with flaming boots and saved 5 trapped soldiers. Each escape added fuel to the legend. Soon, German radios warned, "If Volkov is on that front, expect resistance." The legend of the unkillable commander became psychological warfare. But legends do not win wars. Skill does, and Marek had both. The reason Germans hated him, 1440-2130. The Germans had a personal hatred for him, not because he lived, but because he made them die. Marek specialized in anti-tank ambushes. He would predict panzer routes by reading tracks in mud, hide anti-tank guns in barns, wells, even inside destroyed tanks, attack only when the sun blinded German optics, use burning vehicles as decoys, trap entire armored columns and kill zones. One general famously said, "We do not fight Volkov, we fight his traps." He became the master of battlefield deception. Once he disguised an entire anti-tank gun as a hay wagon, complete with a fake horse made of sticks and straw. When a German armored car approached expecting villagers, boom, a direct hit. The vehicle exploded into fragments. Marek walked out, brushing hay off his uniform. The last stand begins, 21:30-28, but his greatest and deadliest moment came in 1943, near a place soldiers simply called the Iron Valley, a crucial choke point, a narrow corridor where steel beats flesh, where mistakes cost battalions, not squads. German intelligence picked up movement and realized Marek's unit was there. They sent 18 tanks, including Panzerviehs and the feared Tiger I, to crush him. The order was simple: kill Volkov. No survivors. Marek had 1 malfunctioning anti-tank gun, 2 PTRD rifles, pretty Molotov teams, Zivrinmen, and terrain that offered only death or victory. He studied the valley. He saw the wind direction. He noted the tank spacing. He smelled the oil leak from one engine miles away. Then he whispered, "We hold." His men stared, terrified. Then they nodded. Because if Volkov was still breathing, the fight wasn't lost. The Battle of 18 Tanks, 28 to 40 were long cinematic sequence, major chunk of script. The ground trembled, leaves shook, branches snapped. Dust rose, the panzers were coming. Marek raised his hand. Silence. Not even the birds dared move. The kill number 1-3, the blind turn. The lead tank crossed a blind curve. Marek ignited a Molotov from behind a shattered wagon. Flames swallowed the tank's engine deck. The second tank tried to maneuver. Its tracks hit a hidden ditch. Marek dug the night before. It flipped sideways. The third tank reversed and exposed its belly. And Marek shot a PTRD round straight through it. 3 tanks destroyed in 40 seconds. Like Kilmer 4-7, the crossfire. Marek repositioned like a ghost. His men followed silently, firing and vanishing, firing and vanishing. A German commander shouted, "Where are they?" Marek's voice echoed from behind smoke. "Right here." 4 more tanks burned. Killed 8 to 12, the iron trap. Marek's trap sprung. He lured the remaining tanks into a narrow choke point where he placed explosives inside. Hollow tree stumps. When the tanks passed, boom, 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 boom. 4 tanks lost in under a minute. Marek fired the last explosive charge himself and destroyed the 12th tank. German radios screamed, "This is not one man! This is an entire brigade." But it was one man. One ghost. Kill number 13-16, close quarters, hell. The last tiger I advanced. A monster of steel. Unstoppable. Untouchable. Marek didn't blink. He ran towards it. A tank shell blasted next to him. He hit the ground, rolled, and threw a Molotov beneath its exhaust grill. The tank roared in flames. The other 3 tanks hesitated. That hesitation was their death sentence. Marek's remaining gun crews fired their last rounds. 3 more kills. Kill number 17-18, the final duel. The final tank attempted escape. Marek sprinted to a wrecked vehicle, ripped off a broken turret machine gun, mounted it on a rock, and fired until the barrel glowed red. The last tank stalled, burning. 18 tanks, 1 battlefield. 1 commander still standing, 1 legend forged in fire. The unbeatable falls at last, 40-45. But even legends bleed. As Marek approached the final burning wreck, a hidden German marksman fired. 1 bullet, 1 wound. Marek fell to his knees. His men screamed and pulled him back as the valley burned behind them. The Germans reported, "Volkov is fatally wounded. The ghost is dead." But he wasn't. He survived. Again and again. Because ghosts don't die. The aftermath of the Iron Valley, Euromo 530. Silence settled over the Iron Valley. Smoke drifted like torn black curtains. Burned steel hissed as falling snow kissed the molten metal. The ground was so charred that even the wind refused to blow across it. Marek Volkov, the unkillable commander, lay on a stretcher, his uniform soaked in blood, his breath shallow, his eyes half closed, his pulse fading. His men marched beside him in silence. They had no medals to pin on him, no banners to carry, only respect and fear for the man who refused to die. The medic whispered, "How is he even breathing?" Another soldier replied, "Because death fears him." But Marek was human, and this time death was closer than ever. The man who wouldn't die, 5:30-12:30, at the Divisional Field Hospital. Doctors cut off his burned uniform and discovered 3 cracked ribs, a deep bullet wound to the side, shrapnel buried in his back, severe blood loss, burns across his arms. The surgeon murmured, "He has minutes left." But minutes stretched to hours. Hours crawled into days. Marek drifted in and out of consciousness, trapped between fever dreams and memories. He saw his village burning. He saw the wolves he hunted as a boy. He saw every soldier he couldn't save, and every tank he had reduced to smoke. One night, nurses heard him whisper, "I'm not done yet." Then his eyes opened, sharp, awake, alive. Against every medical expectation, he stood. Doctors tried to keep him in bed. He tore out the IV tube, grabbed a side table for support, and walked into the corridor. A passing officer froze and gasped. You died." Marek answered softly, "Not yet." The return of the ghost, 12:30-21. As soon as Marek regained his strength, the high command summoned him. The room went silent when he entered. bandages wrapped around his torso, scars visible on his neck, eyes hollow from pain but burning with intent. The general placed a map on the table. "We need you again." Marek didn't ask for details. He only asked one question. "How many tanks?" The general hesitated. The number wasn't small. It wasn't even reasonable. 26. "Panthers?" "Panthers, Tigers, armored carriers, all headed toward our last supply route. If they break it," the general added, "the entire front collapses." A hush fell. Everyone waited for Marek to speak. He simply tugged the leather strap of his damaged field jacket and said, "Give me a handful of men." And time. The room erupted. Building the Ghost Army, 2730. Marek understood what the High Command did not. He did not need an army. He needed ghosts, silent, deadly, invisible. From thousands of soldiers he chose saboteurs, snipers, artillery spotters, tunnel diggers, engineers, local villagers, a boy who could hear tank engines from 5 kilometers away, a hunter who could shoot the eye of a rabbit at night. He trained them ruthlessly. No speeches, no songs, no glory, just survival. He taught them how to dismantle a tank track silently, how to place charges under snow without leaving footprints, how to use smoke to blind optics, how to make fake minefields, how to mimic German radio chatter, how to turn terrain into a weapon, how to vanish without sound. These weren't soldiers. These were shadows. His new unit earned a name, the Ghost Army, and Marek Volkov led them like a phantom king. The second storm begins, 27:30-36 Wah. Dawn broke with a sky the color of steel. A German armored spearhead, 26 tanks, advanced toward the supply route. The ground shook. Birds fled. Trees shivered. The valley echoed with the deep growl of war machines. This was not like last time. This time, Marek wasn't defending. He was hunting. He had placed his Ghost Army in positions that defied logic. Under hollow ice sheets. Inside abandoned chimneys. Beneath dead horses. Inside trenches too narrow for normal soldiers. He waited until the German column stretched into a long metal spine. Then he whispered. Now, the valley erupted. But not with explosions, with illusions, fake mines, false trenches, decoy at-guns, dummy soldiers made of jackets stuffed with straw. The Germans opened fire, wasting shells on nothing. Confusion spread, and then Marek's real ambush began. The 26-tank nightmare, 36-48, no, this is the main action chunk of Part 2, long, cinematic, detailed. Kill number 1-4, the snare line. Ghost Army engineers cut the tank tracks with industrial saws hidden under snow. The first 4 tanks halted, their treads severed. Marek's men lit them up with Molotovs. Kill 5-7, the ice trap. 3 Panthers broke through onto a frozen lake. But the ice wasn't thick enough. Crack, roar, splash. 3 tanks vanished into icy graves. Kill 8-12, the long shot. Marek spotted a Tiger 1 from 900 meters, too far for accurate PTRD fire. He aimed, exhaled, fired. The round punched through the engine grill. Seconds later, boom, even his sniper said. That was impossible. Marek replied. It was necessary. Kill the 13-18, sabotage in the fog. Ghost Army saboteurs crawled under the fog bank, attaching charges to fuel cans on the tanks' exteriors. Moments later, 6 tanks erupted like fiery torches. Kill Lighthouse in 1922, the boomerang ambush. Marek positioned old Panzer wrecks as cover. When the German tanks came close, hidden gunners inside the wrecks opened fire. 4 kills. The Germans were now panicked. Kill number 23-25, the silent forest. 3 tanks entered a forest. Silence. Then, thump, thump, thump. Falling trees crashed onto their hulls. Ghost Army lumberjacks had cut them halfway hours earlier. Nature destroyed the tanks. Kill number 26, the final Tiger. The last Tiger advanced alone, a monster, unstoppable, angry. Marek stepped into its path. A lone figure, bandaged, bleeding, unbreakable. The Tiger fired. He dove. Shrapnel cut his face. He rose again. He sprinted to a dead AT gun, loaded a single shot, aimed manually, and fired at the Tiger's vulnerable lower front plate. The shell hit perfectly. The Tiger stalled. Smoke rose. The crew scrambled out, surrendering to one man. Marek looked at them and said, "War ends for you today. The legend stands alone." When silence returned, the battlefield held. 26 German tanks destroyed, 0 Ghost Army casualties in the final phase. A supply route saved. A front line restored. Marek's men lifted him onto their shoulders, but he simply pointed forward and said, "Put me down." There is work ahead. The Germans now had 2 names for him. Der Geist, the ghost. Der Unsterbliche, the immortal. He was no longer a man. He was a myth. The final twist. The ghost disappears. 52, 55 Nur. Weeks later, Marek Volkov vanished. No body. No grave. No farewell. Some say he joined a partisan group. Some believe he retired to the mountains. Others swear they saw him on distant battlefields long after the war ended. But soldiers, both German and Allied, whispered the same phrase. The ghost never dies. And they still tell stories of a scarred commander who walked out of explosions, turned valleys into graveyards of steel, and destroyed tanks like a man swatting flies. He destroyed 44 tanks in total, survived 7 confirmed death events, and fought in battles no man was meant to walk out of. But legends don't retire. They fade into the shadows, waiting for a new battlefield. The Germans called him the Ghost. The world called him the Unkillable Commander. If you want more forgotten war stories the world tried to erase, like, subscribe, and join us again when we bring another impossible story back to life.